Hello, my name is Adam Salzman from AdventureEXP. Thanks for joining this session to talk about the importance of decision making and how to be an effective decision maker. Today, the focus of this session is going to be introducing the importance of decisions and kind of what's weighing on us and how we can think about decisions more effectively. And then it's going to be looking at what we call the decision-making matrix, which is a tool that will help you quantify, which helps you identify which decisions actually make the most sense for your current situation. So let's start by just talking about decisions. We are presented with more options than there are decisions available. And like you hear this in common expressions of like you can't do everything or like you got to choose something, right? And that's because we have more options than there are actual decisions available. And that really comes down to the limited resources that every single person on the planet has. We all have limited time, energy, and money. And it's on us to decide how do we actually want to spend those resources, right? How do we want to focus our time? How do we want to focus our energy? And how do we want to focus our money? So within making decisions, every single person makes countless decisions every single day, from when to set your alarm, from snoozing your alarm, to which alarm to get up at, to what clothes you want to wear, how many scoops of coffee you want to put in the coffee maker, where you want to sit, if you want to use your phone. If you're on your phone, do you want to check your email or social media or text your friends or call somebody or whatever that looks like. That's just in the first 15 minutes of waking up. So every single day we're faced with countless decisions. And ultimately it's on us to weigh the options that we're exposed to and identify which one is the appropriate decision for me right now. So with all of that kind of wrapped up, the purpose of this session is to utilize what we call the decision-making matrix. And the intent here is to help you take a decision that needs to be made and to turn it into quantifiable, so meaning adding numbers to it so you can actually measure the validity, so the value of making one decision over another. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a few different examples. And I'd like you can shuffle through this video and you can see that each of these examples is outlined in the video where you can click each individual section that may make sense to you. But first I want to introduce the decision-making matrix. So what's happening here is in this section right here, we're identifying a decision that needs to be made. And then in this section here, we're outlining the actual options that you have to choose from. So in this decision-making matrix, just for an example, there are 5 examples here. Sometimes maybe you only have 2 examples, sometimes you'll have 3, 4, 5, sometimes you'll have many more. The reason we break it down to 5 is, like I mentioned earlier, oftentimes we have many more options than we have decisions to make. So if we can narrow down our options, it then helps us make more effective decisions because we're less distracted by so many options. So in this case, we're going to be looking at 5 different options. The next stage is introducing the qualities of this decision. So basically, what are you looking for? What factors are you considering while making this decision? And then we need to weight each of these decisions. And if you see in this ranking down here, there's 2 different categories of ranking. So first there's the ranking of the weight of each of the variables associated with the decision. So 3 is very important, 2 is pretty important, 1 is important. The reason there's nothing less than important is it wouldn't be a quality factored into your decision if it wasn't at least important. And then this is where the real work comes in utilizing the matrix. Is in the next category, we have if it meets the need of 3, very true, if it's 2 is true, 1 is fairly well, and 0 is not at all. So this is where we actually enter in the information of saying, for this specific example and this specific quality, it either meets the need or doesn't at all, and somewhere on that spectrum. Ultimately, after you identify your options, well, first, after you identify the decision that needs to be made, you lay out your options, you identify the qualities that you're factoring into making this decision, and you apply a weight to those decisions. And then you're going to come in here and actually rank each of these options against these qualities. Then up here, it's going to tell you a score. The higher number indicates a more worthwhile decision, and that's indicated here in the How to Use section. So let's look at this. We'll go into example 1 of picking a college. What university to choose for my college experience? So here we've just listed 5 random examples: the University of Colorado Boulder, Ohio State University, Penn State, University of Miami, Florida, and then you're considering first year at a community college. Then the qualities of this decision. Offers my interested majors, so does it offer a major that I'm interested in? Cost I'm factoring in, right? Is it in-state or out-of-state? Is it a private school? Is it a public school? Is there funding available either through scholarships or financial aid? Does it offer my kind of desired college experience? And I would encourage you to think about what that looks like. Do I want to be in a college town where everywhere I go is, it seems like there's students everywhere? Or do I want to be in a proper city? Or do I want to be in a really big school or a much smaller school? Proximity to hometown. Do you want to be able to go home every Sunday to do laundry at your parents' house? Or would you want to, be a few hours away or even states away and, be comfortable there? And then prestige. If the credentials of that university are going to be beneficial in your future, degrees that you want to get. Let's say you want to go into law school or medical school, and your undergraduate degree is important from a credential standpoint, or depending on your career aspirations. So what we've then done, and again this is just for an example, I've indicated that if it offers my interested major, that's the most important, right? So it's very important. The cost is very important. Desired college experience is still pretty important, and proximity to hometown and prestige are important, but they're less so than these other 3. So now what we've gone through, and let's just look at one example. Let's say Ohio State University. You have an interest in going into, within the College of Business, when you get to school, you want to study marketing. So if it offers your interested major, this one is very true. It does have a marketing program, and even within Ohio State University's marketing school, there's a wide variety of different aspects of marketing that you could consider. Costs. Let's just say hypothetically you're from Massachusetts, so this would be an out-of-state school for you, so it's going to be more expensive, and it's a much larger institution and living in a city, so the cost of living is going to be possibly higher as well. So cost, we're going to say fairly well. Desired college experience, again, it's in the city, it's a very large school, one of the largest schools in the country, so it's pretty true. It's true that it's going to offer your desired college experience. Proximity to your hometown, it's maybe a long drive or certainly a flight, but it's not the difference between being from Massachusetts and going to school in Washington State or California. And then prestige, Ohio State University does have valuable credentials, and they have many master's programs and doctoral programs. So prestige, let's just say hypothetically it's very true. So as we look at this, and we've done this for all 5 examples, it now shows that Ohio State University and Penn State University are, quote unquote, the best choices based on the options given, the qualities that you've identified, the weights that you've applied to them, and the rankings that you've gone through. So now this is helping quantify and decide, all right, University of Miami, Florida has the lowest rank. And if these truly are the qualities that I want to measure, this is not the appropriate school for me. Let's move on to picking a major. So again, what major should I choose? And I've just chosen 5 random options here. Let's say finance, accounting, marine biology, electrical engineering, and social work. And then here for qualities of this decision, I've indicated career opportunity, so the capacity to grow in my career and live the life that I want to live through my career. Am I passionate about the work that I'm doing? It's reasonably easy to pass. So let's say it's important that you really want to get a degree and you want to do it and you're willing to put in the effort, but you don't want to sign up for something that's going to be extremely difficult and you'll make other sacrifices and not be able to work or be in student organizations or develop relationships. Let's say you have a goal of graduating within 4 years because of, let's say, financial reasons. You only have financial aid for 4 years, so you want to graduate in 4 years. And then an anticipated salary above $60,000 annually. And let's say this one right out of college, the likelihood of getting this right out of college. So, and again, $60,000 is just completely arbitrary. I've then applied weights to it, where career opportunity, passion, and anticipated salary above $60,000 annually are my most important qualities. Then reasonably easy to pass is important, and graduate in 4 years is pretty important. So now let's just look at a couple examples here. So let's look at marine biology. Marine biology, in terms of your career opportunity, because it's a more narrow field, it's possible that you may be limited in terms of where you can live and the work that you can do, depending on how research is funded in that specific space. So we're going to say that it's true here for this career opportunity. Passion, you absolutely love marine biology, you've had an aquarium, you're since childhood, and you absolutely love it, so you're super passionate about it. It's reasonably easy to pass because science has always come easy to you, let's just say, and graduate in 4 years, the university does a really good job of ensuring that students do have the ability to graduate in 4 years, so you can continue on to, let's say, a master's program or a PhD or doing some research in the field. Anticipated salary above $60,000 annually, I don't know, for marine biology, but let's just say that this is true, that it's possible you can make $60,000 annually, but maybe you would need a master's. So in this case, it's indicated that based on your criteria here, and based on the rankings and the options that you've given, marine biology versus social work, those have the highest ranking based on these criteria, where electrical engineering and finance are slightly lower, and accounting is the absolute lowest. So in this case, you would consider marine biology and social work as a higher quality decision for this specific category of what major should I choose. Let's go on to study abroad. Study abroad is something that I did in college. I ended up doing a gap year and spent about 9 months living in China during my college experience, and it changed my life for the better. However, one challenge that when I used to work as a study abroad advisor, one challenge that I worked with many students on is that they struggle to make decisions and pick between these different options. And I think it's important to know that when you're down a path that is the right path for you, oftentimes you're going to have competing priorities and decisions are going to be very difficult to make because both options or all options are going to be objectively great. Now you're just picking between which one is even greater and best for you. So let's ask this question. Which study abroad program do I choose? And here let's just let's create an example of saying you are studying business and you do have a free semester, so you see all of these are traveling over spring semester, and you're really interested in studying Spanish, or at least getting Spanish language experience while you travel abroad. So what we're going to do is spring semester in Barcelona, spring semester in Madrid, spring internship in Peru, spring semester in Toledo, Spain, and a spring semester in Denmark. So now those qualities are, we have language learning that we ranked as very important, credit towards my major that we ranked as pretty important, traveling with a group is still important, but it's the lowest, cost is very important, and time to travel within and after the program is marked as pretty important. So as we go through these, and again, this is going to be specific to your individual situation, but in this case, spring semester in Toledo, Spain ends up being a 29 because it is very true that you can language learn, because let's say this program is specifically focused on studying a language, but you also get to take credits towards your major because while you're studying language, you also can take some classes for business that apply to, let's say your major in marketing. Traveling with a group, let's just say hypothetically, this is a program run through your university. So you're going to actually travel with students that go to the same school as you. You can have meetups before you actually travel, and you're going to live together on the program. Then we'll look at cost. This program, it's relatively less expensive to live in Toledo than it is to actually live in, let's say, Barcelona, because Barcelona or Denmark, for example, where we've given these ones, they're relatively more expensive places to live than a place like Toledo, Spain. That's a little bit more off the beaten path. And then time to travel within and after your program, because you're going for a full semester and it's spring semester, that means you have spring break, you have weekends to travel, and you'll have summer break after you finish your spring semester, so you don't have to go back to the US and immediately get back in school. So here it delivers that this is a 29, meaning this should be the program that you consider above others. Let's keep going. Let's look at picking an AdventureEXP program. So if you're watching this video, you're either considering AdventureEXP, you're currently enrolled with AdventureEXP, or you're an alumni of our programs. So if you're considering AdventureEXP or have done our programs, you can use this decision-making matrix to identify which of the program options that we offer are best in line with what you want to accomplish on this type of experience. So here's the decision. Which AdventureEXP destination work program should I choose? And let's say the options are an on-mountain cook position in Aspen, Colorado, an amusement park worker in Tennessee, let's say in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Let's say doing an activities guide in Moab, so you're leading excursions on horseback riding and hiking and fly fishing and things like that. Working in the front desk as a front desk agent at a resort in Montana, or working as a barista at a property that we work with in Denver, Colorado. So now what we want to do is the qualities is it a desirable location, because, and we've ranked that as very important. Does it work for my budget? Because one, I need to travel to that location, but two, I have other travel plans that I want to save money for during the program. Am I traveling with friends? That's not so important because I know I'm going to meet people along the way. Am I interested in this industry? I'd say about 90% of the students we work with on our program are not interested in a career in hospitality and tourism. So this one we've ranked as it's still important because are there transferable skills that I could learn in that position that apply to my future career? And then it works for my desired program dates. We mark this one as very important because ultimately, let's say you have 4 months that are in between other plans that you have. So you need a program that works in your dates. So let's just look at an example of amusement park worker in Tennessee. So I think we said in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So desirable location, let's say, it's this one ranks as true because you're in the Smoky Mountains and it's really beautiful and you can go whitewater rafting and backpacking. But it's not very true because let's say you're from the East Coast and you wanted to get a little bit farther from home. It works for your budget. Well, let's say the cost of housing is $200 a month and the pay rate is $17 an hour. So if it works for your budget because you're going to be working at least 35 work hours a week, and please refer to your AdventureEXP budgeting tool that I'll link to in this video, but you can also find the module for building your own budget. But let's say this one works for your budget and it's very true. You get to travel with friends. It's very true because AdventureEXP runs a program there every single year, and you get to live and work with people traveling on the experience. You're interested in this industry, let's just say fairly well, just because customer service and getting to work with people, and maybe you're interested in engineering, for example, and then you get to be around all the engineers that are working on the roller coasters. And then it works for my desired program dates. Because it's a year-round amusement park, it could be flexible and it could work for whatever, whatever timeline you're interested in traveling. So for this one, it was marked as a 28. Now, relative to the other options, based on the categories that I've done in this section, it looks like being a front desk agent somewhere in Montana with one of our partner employers there is relatively a better decision for you to make because it ranks as a 31. The last example I want to look at today is picking a career. Everybody says, everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it seems like this trajectory that you're on of being in high school, graduating high school, maybe going to work, or maybe going and enrolling in college, or traveling and taking a gap year and things like that. It's all in this what we call the career process flow. So this is an important decision that oftentimes you discover along the way, but which career path do I want to choose? Let's take these examples, and what I've done is I've equated the exact same majors from picking a major example, and I've just picked a random job associated with those majors. So for let's say you were studying finance and you want to be a Wall Street financial analyst, so in New York, in Manhattan on Wall Street. Or for accounting, you want to be a corporate tax accountant. In marine biology, to be a marine biologist, an electrical engineer, or a social worker. So in this case, let's take these qualities of, is there work-life balance, meaning do I have a job that still allows me to live the life that I want to live, both socially, meaning I have enough time and energy, but also do I have enough money to live the life that I want to live, meaning, being able to buy a new mountain bike if I feel like it, or go on family vacations and be able to raise a family and own a house and a car and things like that. The second one is career growth and upward mobility. So this one we've applied, it's pretty important, so being able to grow in that career. Enjoy the work you're doing, so let's call this passion. This one is marked as very important. Ability to travel, because you absolutely want to be able to travel, either for work or outside of work, because work is not going to be so demanding, or maybe you have the ability to work remotely, so it gives you that flexibility. And then work values mental health. That one we're going to rank as still important, but it's the lower weight of them. So let's just take an example here. Last time we looked at marine biology, so let's look at electrical engineer. For work-life balance, we're going to say this is very true, because an electrical engineer, you could work for a corporation where you have the flexibility to come in Monday through Friday and have a more structured schedule of working kind of a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So for work-life balance, you still get to live the life you want to live. Career growth and upward mobility, let's call this a 2. And the reason I say this one, just again, it's all hypothetical, but for this one, let's say you're a really good engineer, but you don't really want to manage people. And in engineering, really kind of the next stage is going from the really technical design aspects of engineering to going into managing other engineers. So maybe upward mobility isn't as available as in other positions. Enjoying the work that you're doing, getting to work with your hands, getting to work with technicians, and seeing how full systems work and breaking them down into smaller, more simplified pieces. So let's call that very true. Ability to travel. Let's say that's true because it's more of that kind of corporate job where you do have free weekends and maybe you have the flexibility to work remotely. And work values mental health. Let's say this one is fairly well in that the company you work for has resources where you have good health insurance and therefore can have a therapist and things like that, but it's really challenging work and maybe it weighs on you a lot because there's a lot of pressure. So ultimately, the decision here is in choosing a career path. This is a 27, which is on brand with marine biologists. Now, by the way, likely if you're choosing a career, these are going to be much more they're going to be more related positions. Maybe this one's going to be electrical engineer at GE versus electrical engineer at Procter & Gamble versus electrical engineer at Tesla, automotive. And those are going to be more quantifiable for you to decide which options make more sense. These I just wanted to be consistent with the majors that we talked about, even though the reality is when you're picking a job, it probably won't be this diverse. I encourage you to download this file and save it onto your computer and come back to it as you're approaching decisions. It could be decisions about where do you and your friends want to go on vacation on spring break. It could be decisions about what student organizations do I really want to focus my time on, or how do I choose a part-time job while I'm enrolled in college? How do I decide between buying a car versus leasing a car, or buying a house versus renting an apartment? What it does is it allows you to quantify these options and then narrow it down to help you make effective decisions. This tool is only as powerful as you make it. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure you're asking the right questions. You want to make sure you're considering the right options and that these options are specific. And you want to make sure that the qualities and the ranking that you give those qualities are legitimate and you're being honest with yourself about what actual qualities am I considering. A really good example for career is sometimes it's uncomfortable to talk about money. And especially, let's say at 19 years old, how can you possibly know how much money you're going to need in your life? Well, then it's about asking yourself these questions in terms of money isn't the end-all be-all. And in my opinion, money doesn't drive happiness, but money drives choices. And the more choices you get to make, then the more happy you can likely be because you get to actively choose what option makes most sense for you. So as you start asking these questions and identifying what's important to you, be specific and honest with yourself with the qualities and how much weight you should actually give them. And then as you actually come in here and actively are using the tool, be honest with yourself about what is that option. And don't let yourself be biased and say, well, my heart says I want to be a corporate tax accountant, so therefore I'm going to rank this one higher. Remember that this tool is only as valuable as you actually make it. So get out there and use the tools at your disposal. And remember that we all have more options than decisions that can be made. And within those decisions, we all have limited resources. Our time, our energy, and our money are all limited. Every single person has limited resources. And it's where the real magic in life happens is where we can decide where to allocate those resources that are limited to yield, so to deliver the best possible result. Let your AdventureEXP individual guide know if you have any questions, and work with us if you want to develop an individual decision-making matrix for a specific decision that you're working with. So thanks for joining us today, and stay tuned for more modules coming in the future. Take care.